Hello. Thank you for coming to the 10th Annual Lake County Film Festival. This is the Q&A for the Modern Romance shorts block. I have with me Maki Dapp, who directed and wrote and directed Ghosting of Elise Montgomery. And also earlier today, I spoke with Justin Fair, who directed Sloan Hearts Neckface. And after Maki and I talk, I will run that. So here we go. How's it going?
Hello, Nat. How are you?
It's hard to be a producer, host, and and I was doing tech producer for opening night. I was like talking to somebody, lining up the next guest to get him into the thing, and then producing and then hosting. It was quite an experience.
Yeah, sounds wild. Sounds wild. It sounds like making a movie, really.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Except as is my way, not artistically. I don't have any shot.
But a producer in a movie doesn't always do the artistic, but we could not pull this stuff off without the producers, so.
No, I mean, I always say my whole life, I work around art and artists, but always in a logistical capacity, a store, a record label, a DVD label, a film festival. I never actually make the art, but I like the logistics of art.
It's beautiful. We as filmmakers, we need people like you. You are so important to the craft, so vitally important. So thank you.
So let's talk about ghosting real quick, and then also I haven't really talked to any filmmakers who've seen the other shorts much so far. So if you want to tell me how the whole thing ran, but what sparked Ghosting of Elise Montgomery?
Oh, it's such a fun story. So in Cincinnati, there's a festival there that's only 2 years old. They're in their third year, but they canceled it this year because of the pandemic. They couldn't find a way to make it do. But the fun thing is, it's called the Independent Film Festival. So they're in their third year. They did pop-up movies all summer through the pandemic, where they built this little trailer and they would just open up the things and people would socially distance and watch the movies, and really cool thing. But so this film festival, their second year, they decided to do a thing where they did a contest, and I think 50 people applied, and they pitched an idea, just a vague idea. This was my thing. And they did this whole 3-minute pitch. They narrowed it down to the top 3. And then the production company that was helping this independent film festival put it on, they were called Drive Media House. They got to choose after they narrowed down to the top 3. And this lovely woman named Biz Young won, and she had this idea about being visited by people that you have ghosted. And it was kind of a vague idea, and it was really fun. And so they came to me. I'd done a lot of work with Drive Media House, and they said, would you be interested in directing this and helping her write it? And I was like, it's such a great idea. I just love it. So I kind of came up with my ideas. I wanted to do it in a brilliant oneer. And there was just no way logistically to pull that thing off in a oneer. So, but we worked through it. It was me and Biz, and then one of her really good friends named Caitlin, and the three of us just brainstormed for several weeks. And I would kind of throw a screenplay together in a draft with a bunch of their notes. They just wrote out a bunch of dialogue, and so I would kind of hobble it together, and we came up with different characters. And so through that, the three of us came up with the story and the idea, and then I wrote the screenplay, and we found a way to shoot it. The crazy thing is, it was a 10-page script. We shot it in 1 day.
Wow.
So we did the beautiful thing we did.
FX stuff? Including the reshoots for FX stuff?
Everything was done in 1 day.
Wow.
And so we knew that it was going to be breakneck speed, because it was all one location, but we had so many ghosts to film. We had so many ways. I wanted it to make sure that everything was locked off so we could get the kind of see-through transparency of the ghosts. But everybody got 2 takes.
I got to say, you seem to work well under pressure. I think the first work I've seen from you, saw from you years ago, was like 48-hour film festival stuff.
I've done 10 of those. So I've done 10 48s. I've won 5 of the 10. I've gotten second place 2 of those 10, and then was disqualified once because we turned it in late. So that's where I got my filmmaking start, was doing the 48s. And I just fell in love with the craft of throwing something together fun in 2 days. So, you know, when I started doing short films and I had weeks and weeks and weeks to plan and several days to shoot, I was like, what is this? Which is great. But no, with the ghosting, I knew we had so little time to do so many things. So the beautiful thing is that the people who own the house allowed us to come in the night before. So I brought all the actors in, and we got to do a Patrick right there. He was one of our actors. He played Todd. So he just commented in there. He's so great. But we got to bring them in, and we just rehearsed. We rehearsed over and over. We went through stuff. We made sure everything was feeling really good. So when they landed day of, they got to spend lots of time in hair and makeup. They came in, they got to do their 2 takes in their close up, 2 takes in the wide, and then that was it. We're done, you know, and then we move on to the next scene. So it was, the actors brought their A game, the crew brought their A game. It was a really fun and hard shoot, but it was even fun. We got to stay the night there that night because and the crazy thing is, we did it in a 10-hour shoot. Like, we did not go overtime. So that means we got 10 pages in 10 hours, wow. No overtime. Like, it was a feat.
You're almost as good as Tyler Perry.
Oh, that man. He is doing some incredible stuff right now. I'm in awe of their base camp in Atlanta. I mean, I've got an agent for acting, and she tells me all the time about actors she sends there, and it's just some beautiful stuff that they're doing down there. It's crazy.
So I've just watched it for maybe, I don't know, the 5th time yesterday or something. Where is she actually?
So she's Elise.
Yeah, like where's your location, and then where is that to her? Is that her house?
So that's her parents' house. So when she walks in, she goes around the kitchen, she picks up this weird horn, and she goes, "What the hell, Mom?" So it's like she's visiting her mom's house.
That's a shofar.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was like, that seemed a weird thing. Was that just a prop purposely put there, or?
Yeah, put there to kind of like to give context that she's not at her house; she's at her parents' house.
Which is what sparked the question. And then I was like, well, why is this Jewish instrument there at the house to begin with? And so I almost thought that she was in some, like, I didn't hear her say mom. I thought it was like at an Airbnb or so. She clearly wasn't at home.
Right.
Which, you know, I think potentially leads to that whole, you know, this should be a scary concept, right?
Sure.
I mean,
100%.
this is like a comedy version of The Sixth Sense, you know?
Yeah.
And so being at someone else's house that you're not familiar with could lend to the sort of creepy aspect. Why are they all visiting her not at home? Like, why to take a Jewish phrase, what makes tonight different from all other nights? You know, like,
yeah, for sure,
that she's being visited by these people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was just the timing of her. She's currently ghosting somebody, and it's almost like the idea is all these people, and they all died in weird ways right around the same time. Like there's like 1,000 coincidences, obviously, to make this thing actually come to life. But we embraced it and leaned into it.
So they are all recent deaths. They're not just
they're all within the last year or so, and they're all just like, okay, we got to do something about this.
And what did happen to Sam? I was having a hard time even still, just really, you know, looking at him and just trying to figure it out, not having to pay attention to the plot. I could not figure out what it was. Is he like
which one was Sam? Sorry.
The last one. The last one.
So he was skydiving. So here's the beautiful thing. We worked with this great sound design company, and I said, I want like a little hint of how they died audibly before you see them. So if you watch it and listen really closely, right before we see Todd, you hear this gagging and choking sound. And then right before you see him, you hear, so.
Yeah, I saw his stuff. You got a question from
Ray here.
From Ray here.
Yeah, who wrote it and who pitched it? So Biz Young was the one who pitched it. She had this brilliant idea, and the beautiful thing is she came in open-handed, which I always love that from creators. She's like, I have this great idea, but I'm not exactly sure how we're going to do this. So together, me and Biz and her friend Caitlin, just like, how are we going to put this thing together? The production company, Drive Media House, and the producer, Chris Powers, they just kind of let us run with it, which was so fun. And then me and Biz and Caitlin kind of came up, but it was really Biz's idea, this just root idea of being ghosted by the people who you've ghosted, you know. So yeah, it's great.
Did you start out with like lines and then come up with scenarios? Because like "Pound Me Too" is just friggin' brilliant. And so
that's all. That's Biz and Caitlin. That's Biz and Caitlin.
You start with that and then build the character around it, basically.
So Biz did this brilliant thing where she did this like Facebook poll, and she said, what are some of the strangest ways you've been ghosted in your life? And she had like 100 people comment on this Facebook post. And so they just got all these scenarios and they brought them to me, and they had already written some lines like, what if it's this feminist bro dude who doesn't really understand feminism, but he thinks he's got the futurist female shirt on, but he's still kind of a creep. You know, and they were like, we've met people like some of these people, and it was just fun to like, some of it was from real stories. Some of what they let me kind of do, which was nice. They let me kind of choose how the people died, but a lot of the dialogue was them going, I've heard people say these things, you know, and then we got to kind of tweak it and massage it and make it cinematic, whatever. So.
I thought it was funny that the woman is in her phone as turquoise tank top, yet she's still wearing a turquoise tank top. I thought that was pretty hilarious too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So modern romance, you know, it was. I thought when I talked to Justin, I mentioned, you know, most of these scenarios maybe 20 years ago, maybe less, would be completely. You know, we wouldn't know what ghosting was.
Right.
15 years ago, and communicating through graffiti and a robot, you know. Yeah. I thought that all came together.
I think it when I watched everything and I thought about the idea of romance and this is the lens, I thought it was just this beautiful, ironic name that is so lovely. So it's such a great block because none of them are actually romances, and I love that about the modern romance, because really, what is modern romance? You know, it's this.
Yeah, no, it's unrecognizable to even my childhood. You know, what's today? I mean, I'm comfortable with seeing it, but it's definitely very strange. Well, I just wanted to touch base with you also about what's next. You know, your last feature film played last year. We didn't get to talk. But my audience loved it enough that they gave you the audience award.
Thank you. So lovely.
What are you working on that we can see for next year?
Yeah. So the Ghosting of Elise Montgomery was the last narrative I ever made, which was a year and a half ago, which is sad, but it's just been a weird year because right as we started I had some ideas. I had this fun little short I wanted to do, and pandemic hit and everything kind of got weird and frozen. So I've turned to writing. So I've got 3 feature scripts that I'm working on. One I'm on my 11th rewrite of, trying to get that thing honed in. It's been optioned by a producer, trying to get, you know, I'd love to get that made maybe in the next year. I had a production company reach out about a possible holiday short film that we're kicking around an idea. So yeah, we're just trying, you know, as creators, we just want to create. I'm here for it. I am very, very lucky. I don't know, that might be the right word. I get to work in commercials, and, you know, doing commercials a lot of times is like doing these micro short films, especially the stuff that I'm lucky enough to do, because it's a lot of comedy stuff. And so I've done a few really fun projects this year that were comedy-based commercials, and I'm hoping, you know, more of those continue to pour in. It scratches an itch, and it pays the bills, and I'm very happy about it. So I feel like sometimes I'm the luckiest guy, you know, that I know, because I get to make things fun for a living. Awesome. But I do hunger to make the narrative. And I'm hoping, you know, one of these features gets off the ground, or, you know, I'm up for doing another short. I've even contemplated doing another 48, even though I kind of semi-retired in 2017. But you can't quit filmmaking. You know, it just keeps finding you, and it just keeps coming back.
I hear you. Where can people see your commercials? You got something to hype I can put in the comments?
Just Motke.net. My name, my first name, Motke.net. You go there, you can see commercials. There's a sampling of probably 5 or 6, no, 8, I think 8 short films are on there. And you can also, there's a link to our feature film, which we got distribution last year. We're about to hit the 1-year anniversary of when it released to the public. And yeah, it's on Amazon Prime currently.
Has that been good? Anything fun and awesome to talk about?
I mean, I get the most lovely messages. About once or twice a week, I'll get a random email or a Facebook message or an Instagram message, and somebody say, "I just found your film. I love it. I've watched it 3 times." Like, when I get messages like that, my heart explodes with joy because I'm so glad that people connect to it. But no, it's just kind of out there. It's streaming. It's doing what it's doing.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
And
yeah, no, I mean, I know that feeling so well. You know, when I heard that you were a fan of the film I produced, it was like,
yeah.
That is great to hear. You know, it's always nice to hear from people. That was the best part about playing shows. You know, playing live in person stuff.
Oh.
You know?
You and I have that similar background. I mean, I was a musician for many years before I rebooted my life, put away the guitar, and picked up the keyboard. I don't know if that's whatever. Started directing, so yeah.
All right, well, it was great to catch up with you. Hopefully you'll have some new work next year and we'll get to talk again.
I'd love that. Nat, thank you so much for having me. Thanks for showing our film and for doing this. I mean, this is great. This is a great way to do this during a pandemic, so thank you.
Yeah. I tried hard to keep the kind of festivalness and timeline and audience interaction and getting here. We got a couple comments for you. Patrick was talking about the show. I think that was the shofar. I'm not sure, but
the horn thing. Yeah.
There
you go, Patrick.
Ray was already on your website.
I do. You know, it's funny. The Wes Anderson comment's really interesting and funny because I made a film in 2010 called Lyman Davenport, and it was the first film that I worked with a production designer, and I said I loved her aesthetic, and she was a big fan of Wes Anderson, and I liked Wes Anderson. I said, let's make something that kind of has this Wes Anderson vibe to it, and she was like, yeah, let's do that. And it was the first time. It was my 5th or 6th film that I had made. Maybe, I don't know what it was. It was the first film that I made, though, that I was like, as the filmmaker, I have full control of my production design. I don't just have to pick a house and use the furniture that's there. Like, I can bring things in. I can design it. I can work with the team and design it. And so it's funny that they mention that because 2010, a film called Lyman Davenport, we said, let's make a Wes Anderson-esque film and just see if we can pull it off. And we kind of did. And I was like, oh, we kind of have control of our sets. And that's a beautiful thing.
Sweet. All right. Well, I'm going to try and run this interview recorded earlier with Justin Fair, who directed Sloan Hearts Neckface. I'm going to run it right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nat. All the best to you.
Pleasure. All the best. All right. We are also here with Justin Fair, director of Sloan Hearts Neckface. How's it going, Justin?
It's going well, Ned. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. You know, in putting together this program, I was really struck with a couple things that just wouldn't make sense to most of us a decade ago, or maybe 2 decades ago, with the bulk of it being communication. Where did this idea come from of these 2 principals experiencing a romance through this alternate means of communication?
Well, actually the writer Ian Grody, I met him at NYU when I was directing for an industry night that was we were doing stage readings of writers' materials and having agents come. So this was my first time experiencing the script in a staged version. I didn't get to direct that piece, though I wanted to. And then afterwards, I got to talking with him and said if he ever wanted to make a short film version of this, that I would like to do that. So I don't know where he came up with this crazy thing. people writing letters. But I'm glad he did, and yeah.
Yeah, and just the graffiti, I had marked something about modern communication, but it's actually an older form of communication. Yet somehow it seems like this is a very modern tale, even though it probably could have been set, 40 years ago.
Yeah, I really like that. I like how few how there's no cell phones in it.
Yeah,
It's like every film has to deal with the issue of cell phones, especially in the horror genre. It seems like now, you always have to deal with this like expository excuse of why you can't call on a cell phone. It's just like the elephant in the room, unless you're doing, you know, a period piece. So
yeah.
I guess we don't address it, but it's just that they're poor and they don't have cell phones. So
I'm always interested in the art of adaptation. Did you have to modify anything for the film?
I'm sure Ian did. Ian wrote the script as well.
So, but if you'd seen the stage, a stage version, were there any important changes in the filmed his text? No.
Not really, except for like the fleshing out of like physical actions. Because even before the stage version, it was published in a magazine or an online newspaper or something like that. There were just 3 letters. So the main part of the script, which is just the letters, that's all it was before, is just the letters. So when we're moving it to to film, we just had to flesh out what they might be doing and where they might be, but a lot of it was narrated, through the letters. So a lot of it's very very literal from what's written, and then we try and have some fun with sometimes them doing opposite things from what they're saying.
Well, actually, I had this interesting thought. If especially if it was shorter originally, was
Yeah.
Isaiah's character always in it?
No, originally, when in the first incarnation, it was just Sloan and Neckface.
I
Sloan and
am.
Carl.
So I watched it yesterday or the day before for the 3rd time, and it struck me
Thank you.
for the first time. It
Yeah.
struck me he doesn't. Why does he need Isaiah's character at all? I mean, can't he just write his own note and say that it's from Isaiah's character?
Yeah, you would think. Maybe he's obsessed with handwriting like I was. We had to have somebody's different hand.
Yeah, or maybe he's just not really thinking about that. He's just, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was great to give you an excuse to get Isaiah in there, and it
Oh
creates a
man.
whole
And
level.
isn't he great?
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. And
Thank you,
it
man.
creates a whole new level of chaos that, yeah, that's
He's so tragic.
yeah. So on that same token, I am absolutely sure that any question any filmmaker would have while watching this is, how did you get such amazing actors to appear in your film?
Yeah.
Is it just connections? Did you just have the
luck and bribes. If you get some dirt on somebody, you can coerce
And if
them.
you have a good script, you're probably more likely to get the fantastic actors. But
I think so.
think that most
Yeah.
people find it hard just to connect to them.
Yeah. So I worked. Well, I've been friends with Clara for a long time. I used to drive her to auditions in LA, and I worked for her father, and so she was the first person to come on, and I think because she came on, honestly, that Raul and Isaiah were more excited to join, and of course the material, the script's great, and of course it's me directing, so who wouldn't want to be a part of this? Yeah, we're very fortunate. They were all just so great.
I hear all the time about challenges shooting in New York. Did
You
you?
do.
I've heard.
Who has a problem shooting in New York?
Did you were you fully permitted, or did you guerrilla it a bit, or do you have any great New York stories?
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, we filmed this over a period of several years, actually, because we were set to film And then Seth Rogen stole Clara from us to film Neighbors 2, like a week before we were slated to start. But because of the episodic nature of the piece, we were able to split the shoot up into a couple different parts. We also used to have snow in the script, so we broke up the shoot into a couple different parts. We waited for snow for an entire year and didn't get any in New York. Or we had one. It was a blizzard, and then it rained the next day. And so the weather's crazy. So we wrote it out, and then we brought Clara back like a year later. And of course, we had to do sessions of the voiceover in the studio, and we had to redo some of that to say the snow out.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, New York is great city. So it's very photogenic. So it's always great to shoot here, but there's always people, people on the subway till you figure it out. And then, shooting with Isaiah also. Isaiah, we were shooting in Harlem, and like, Isaiah comes out to shoot, and you start hearing shit, everywhere. And of course, he's so kind with everybody that recognized him. We're happy that he does get recognized, but
it must be, was that a big deal because you're almost completely voiceover, so you could just cut all those people out?
That's right. Yeah, no, that played to our benefit a lot. We did run sound on the entire shoot, though. Jared Paul, who did the sound design, he was also the recordist on set, so we ran sound for everything, just to be able to use, later. But yeah, it wasn't that. Yeah, we had that going for us for sure. Yeah,
that's like Kismet. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, it's New York. It's New York.
I did some guerrilla shooting on a feature I produced, and we I feel like we came really close to getting arrested, and so.
Oh yeah, how did you do it? Where were you shooting?
Well, the problem was that we had somebody. We were shooting on the L, in Chicago, and but we had somebody who was wearing one of those old, like a religious placard.
Yeah.
And we'd thought about all sorts of things. We weren't even shooting from the L platform. We were shooting from somewhere else. But someone called it a bomb threat because they saw somebody with like a religious placard that said like "Rejoice, the end is near" or whatever. And someone called in a terrorist bomb threat, and they came to the L platform. They even did the thing where they came from two different directions to block the entrance to the L platform.
Whoa. That's dicey.
We were, a block away, and we just saw them start swarming down, like ants. Like all of a sudden, our principals have all these cops coming towards them down the platform.
Wow.
So I always think about that. Obviously, the subway in New York is less monitored, and they're more used to people like the Mercury Men or whatever. They're they seem a little more used to that. But
yeah, our brilliant cinematographer Peter Fackler, he built like this box, kind of like a carrying case, where you could just lift up and have the lens there. So when we're filming like actually in the stations, like on the subway, wasn't too bad except for the people. And we eventually found like a great place to go between Hudson Yards and Times Square. Before they were just building Hudson Yards. I don't know if you're familiar how that's laid out on the 7 train. It was a fairly new station. We did some shooting there, and we'd go back and forth on trains, and just between those two stops, and it was like barely anybody, so we could have that to ourselves. But Peter, when we were filming like in Chamber Street, it was like Mission Impossible because there were cops everywhere, and New York is a kind of place where it's like they could care or they couldn't. You don't know, but you just don't want to face that question.
A box. What did you shoot on? We shot on a DSLR. We shot on a 5D. Did you just have a big box for
yeah, it was a big box. It looked like maybe it was like a big gym bag or something like that.
Cool. That's sweet. What's next for the film? Have you are you nearing the end of your run? Are you
Yeah. So, I mean, there are several other festivals that we're still waiting on decisions for in the next year. Um, w- we we will be playing at Pittsburgh as well this month, and then after that, we'll see. We'll see.
What's next for you?
For me, I'm writing
Right now.
right now. Yep, I'm not a great writer, but I do it anyway. And so I've got a couple ideas. I'm working on a couple feature things and a short idea. And just looking, just begging for food and
How's the
coins, spare
how's the
change.
pandemic treating you?
I'm sorry.
How's the pandemic treating you?
Oh, it was good. No, it's been rough. It threw everything up in the air. We are going to premiere at Tribeca,
Yes.
and just like right before Tribeca, man. Which sucked. But we've had a good time. Other than that, we were here in our teeny apartment in New York for a couple months, and then we were down in Delaware for a little bit. But things are opening back up, and our numbers in New York are pretty good. We'll see. We'll see how we do. It's kind of a crazy week all around.
Yeah,
But
it is nice at least to get so much more filmmaker interaction. It's been hard to juggle like a Skype Q&A while handling physical screening. So at least
oh
it's
yeah.
great to get to talk to people.
Oh, I think it's brilliant, man, and especially like I'm so happy that Lake County that has opened up to the entire country.
Yeah,
For some of the films. I think that's great. And yeah, getting to connect with people that you wouldn't normally too. I think we get to see more films too. Like, Palm Springs was amazing. This is amazing. Like getting to connect with people that, or I met some awesome filmmakers in the Middle East and like just like great people. It really does connect people and bring people together. And like,
yeah. I'm hoping
this
now
is-
that the election stuff is settling down, people will be more active on the Discord, and I've got this nightly.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I got this nightly thing. Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to. I was doom scrolling for hours. I'm like, I should be preparing for this, that, and the other thing, but I just have to make sure everything's going to be okay first.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is a good stress relief, distraction, enjoyment part of the day, while we are waiting out the minutes.
Yeah.
Till we,
All right,
till
well,
we
it's
know.
great to talk to you. Thanks everyone for coming to the Modern Romance Shorts program Q&A, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Nat.
All right.